So I just changed my shirt because I was feeling kind of uncomfortable. Anyways, okay. So the first day of ministry. So we got to meet, first of all, our translators. They're awesome. We got Cynthia and Jenny on the first day. Cynthia, they're both Peruvians, and they're both have been doing ministry for a very, very long time. They're not full-time missionaries by any means, but they grew up in Peru. They volunteer regularly with their church. They've both been on dozens of mission trips, at least what it sounded like to me. And they're both very, very strong believers of Christ and followers of Christ. So that was really encouraging just to meet them, hear their story, see where they came from, and why they just have decided to help us out as translators. Because I think as the trip went along, we realized just how like, for us we had a language barrier, but for them they don't, and how much more direct their I guess their, what is it called, their interactions would be versus how we would do it. But they were very gracious, and did a great job at translating for us. We were a little bit scared of the language barrier, but I think with them, and just the care and the love that they showed for us, they really empowered us to go forward boldly and talk with the Peruvians. So yeah, I'm just going to speak briefly about our first day of evangelizing. This is our first full day in Peru. We got in just the night before, so we were still kind of tired and trying to accustom ourselves to Peru. And so I think for me, everything was new. Everything was just like, wow, like it's just so much, just so different. There's things that remind me a little bit of like Asian kind of culture-ish things, but there's so many other aspects. This is Latin America. This is the first time I've ever been to South America. I'm just so excited to see what it's all about. So what happened was we went to the first church that we were partnering with. It's called Conquistador. I don't exactly know what it means, but it was a really amazing church, just to see how excited the youth were to join us. We worked mostly with the youth group there. Also, we were hosted by the main pastor and things like that. Like we stayed at the YWAM base that Stepping Stone partners with, partnered with Cesar. And so Cesar kind of set us up with this church, and we got to partner with them. So that was really neat, just to be able to visit them, see what they were all about. They just seemed so excited just to reach out to their community and share the gospel to them. So after we kind of got settled in with the church, we ate lunch, and then we went out for our first ever evangelizing session. And man, were we nervous. It was just like a little bit like down around the corner. We like walked down there, and we were just like, okay, we can do this. So we did our dances, we did our skit, and then both went all right. Like we hadn't practiced it for a while because we were all studying for finals, and our leaders decided not to have us train during that. And so things were a little rough, but we made it. And then it came time for the actual ministry time. This is the part where we didn't really train for. This is the part where, like, on the airplane the day before, we're just like trying to read through the tract, being like, how do we pronounce all these things? We don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. What was even a little bit more of a setback was that one of our translators was missing. So I was partnered with Ross. Ross is also a rising senior, and like he has pretty decent Spanish, actually, enough that we were sent out to do ministry without a translator. And so both of us were just like, okay, we trust you, Rule. We will do our best. So we walked up to this girl who was came in while we were doing while we did the dances and the skits and stuff like that, and we tried to do our best. I don't know any Spanish at this point. I still don't. But this was even worse. Like this is ground zero, like -1 if possible. So like we tried to introduce ourselves, and we like jumped straight into like the track that we had. This is a track that we had. I have one copy that I took for myself. I'm sorry for the one Peruvian that won't get a tract because I took it back with me. But it basically says like the bridge to life, and it basically walks through like why we're separated from God, and like why sin is the thing that separates from God, and the judgment that comes from sin, and then that Jesus Christ is the bridge to life. Jesus Christ is our bridge to God, and how we can cross over that bridge, the bridge of Jesus Christ, so that we can have a life with God. And then it kind of walks through the salvation prayer and things like that. So this is kind of what we shared, and we were told to basically read it. So this is all in Spanish. I don't know if you can see it. It's all in Spanish, and so we were told just straight up just read the whole thing in Spanish, even if you don't really know how to pronounce it all. Just read it. And so that's what we did. We were just like, okay, let's do this. And I think God was really grateful. Was really, really gracious. Sorry, not grateful. He was very gracious at that point, because this girl that we ended up talking to, she also had a friend that came in a little bit later, and she was actually Catholic, so she had heard the story before. It wasn't new to her. I think it was just kind of like a reminder in a sense. And as much as we didn't have a translator, like Ross knew enough to kind of invite her to church, to point her to where the church was, to ask the pastor to come over and talk with her about where the church was and like what we're doing and things like that. Excuse me. So that was really good. Like that was our first ever outreach, and we got someone, God placed someone in our lives that wasn't new to the story. It was like just a reminder for her. And I think for us, for me anyways, I was really gracious, just because we didn't have to work super hard to really try to get the point across, because Ross definitely didn't know enough Spanish to do that. I think there was things that I would have liked to said that, but I wouldn't have been able to, because we didn't have a translator. So God was really good in that sense. We also did some more ministry at like a couple of skate parks, and that was really fun, just to be able to engage with children, or like with young teenagers and things like that, and really just get them excited. I think it was hard to reach out to them, just because they're at that age where they're just kind of a bit stubborn, very cautious, and wondering, why are these foreigners coming here? Like, they're crazy. They're doing random dances and skits in our skate park, and we want to skate. Like, what are they doing? But it was amazing that God was really working that day, and we got to talk with people who just wanted to kind of talk with us, and get to just talk relationally, not necessarily to really go after them and ask them to receive Jesus Christ. But it was good to just engage with the community, to let them know that we were there, and things like that. Yep. I think that's really all I have to say for day one. I was already pretty tired by day one. I think after the flight, I was pretty wiped out. But God really did provide us with the energy that we needed throughout the whole trip. So that was really amazing. So let's move on to this was our day 2, but first day of ministry. So let's move on to the second day of ministry.